صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله والملائكة يصلون على النبي أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن عليا أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. حي على خير العمل. حي على خير العمل. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله. وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبو القاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين حبيب إله العالمين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين أما بعد أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. First of all, I advise myself and all of you towards taqwa, broad consciousness and remembrance of Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal in all aspects and areas of our lives. We are still in the month of Aza of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, and indeed these opportunities are great for us to reflect on the sacrifices of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam and the lessons we can derive from them. One of the best ways to look into Karbala and its lessons are revising the beautiful sentences or statements made by Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam himself, as he is the founder of Karbala. So learning about Karbala from its founder, that is the most authentic and genuine source. So in today's sermon, we'll be focusing on a beautiful statement made by Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam before beginning the mission of Karbala, before arriving in the plains of Karbala. In this beautiful statement, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam gives us 4 reasons why he is making this a prize. What was going on with Muslim Ummah? Why Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam took this bold step? We all know that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam knew the best of the outcomes of his uprising. When people like Abdullah bin Abbas, ordinary people, they knew very well that this uprising will lead to the physical annihilation of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam. Every single person knew that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam will become martyr. His family will be massacred. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, who was the Imam from Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal and an extremely dignified person from the family of Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, how can someone imagine that Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam was not aware of the consequences? Then why Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam stood? What made him to not keep silent like the rest of the Muslim Ummah? Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam gives 4 reasons. First he says, Allahumma innaka ta'alam, oh Allah, you know very well, innahu lam yakun tanafusan fi sultan. My uprising is not to gain power. My uprising is not to get authority, to get kingdom. It's not a fight or it's not a wrestle over power, over kingdom. Then what it is? Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam in the second sentence explains the 4 reasons. لِنُرِيَ الْمَعَالِمَ مِنْ دِينِكَ. Number 1, Imam Hussain says, I'm making this surprise, لِنُرِيَ الْمَعَالِمَ مِنْ دِينِكَ. So we can establish the flags of your religion. And this is the same thing mentioned for Imam al-Hujjah alayhi salatu wasalam. أَيْنَ مُحْيِي مَعَالِمِ الدِّينِ. Where is the one who will revive the flags, the signs, the symbols of your religion, O Allah? What does it mean? It means the signs, the symbols of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal were put to death, were eradicated in the tyrannical regime of Yazid. Even basics of Islam were gone. Just the shell of Islam was left. In another beautiful sentence, Imam Hussaini Salat wasalam says, "O Allah, your religion is totally gone. And if something is left, it's like kasubabatil ma." When you drink water from a glass, some residues are still left. Those residues of water are called subaba. They are of no use. You've drunk the full glass of water, and now a little bit of residues, some droplets of water which are left on the walls of that glass, they are called subaba. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam says, "O Allah, the whole religion is gone. Nothing is left except subabatul ma." Some tiny residues. Okay? So this is the situation. And Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam has to make that great sacrifice to revive the religion of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So this is number one. And here we can take a pause and connect ourselves with this purpose of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. If we are holding the majalis of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we are spending days and nights, we are investing a large sum of our hard-earned money for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam's azab. Inshallah ta'ala, Allah will reward us in multiple times in this world. But we always need to be considerate of this purpose of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. Imam Hussain made all those sacrifices. لِنُرِيَ الْمَعَالِمَ مِنْ دِينِكَ. So Allah Azza wa Jal's religion, its signs, its symbols, its flags could be raised, could be revived. So by doing Azza of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, if I am not following the religion, if I am not reviving the signs and symbols of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal within myself, within my family, then am I connecting myself with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? I am attending 100 majalis during Muharram and Safar. More than 100 majalis on average where mu'mineen attend. So I'm investing, in fact, at least 200 hours. Inshallah ta'ala, Allah Azza wa Jal will bless us with thousands of hours by extending our lives. There is no doubt. But we need to be considerate that inshallah ta'ala we are revising or we are reviving the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. Now you can start asking questions, many questions. For example, is lying a sign of religion of Allah Azza wa Jal? Or is speaking truth is a sign of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal? So if I'm lying, it means I'm burying the sign of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. Offering prayers, connecting ourselves with Allah Azza wa Jal, seeking help from Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal, is the sign of the religion of Allah, or not praying? Of course, praying, prayers, fastings, going for Hajj, all these are the signs of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. Wearing hijab, is hijab the symbol of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, or not wearing hijab? Of course, no one will disagree that hijab is the symbol of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. So am I observing the hijab? And when we say hijab, hijab is not restricted to the scarf that women wear on their head. Hijab has two dimensions, for men, for women. For men, hijab is lowering your gaze. For women, hijab is lowering their gazes plus covering their head and their body. Allah Azza wa Jal talking about hijab clearly says, وَقُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ وَيَحْفَظُوا فُرُوجَهُمْ. So if I am lowering my gazes when the time comes, it means I am reviving the symbols and signs of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. And if I am not doing so, it means I am burying, I am killing the signs and the symbols of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam stood, made all those sacrifices his life, his beloved ones, to revive the signs and symbols and flags of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal. And number two, وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ. Oh Allah, I've stood against Yazid, against the tyrant who was worshipped at that time. Now the word Yazid has become a swearing word. If you call someone whatever you want to call, and then you call that person Yazid, that person will feel more offended by being called Yazid than any other bad word. So Yazid has turned into worst foul language. And this is also a success of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. At that time Yazid was being worshipped. Literally, Ibn Taymiyyah, he says in one of his books that there were a group of people who considered Yazid a prophet from the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jalla. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Let alone of caliph, let alone of successor of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, let alone of an imam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Yazid was hailed as one of the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jalla by his supporters, by his followers. And now the name of Yazid has turned into worst swearing word. This is the miracle of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn. So Imam says, وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ. Oh Allah, I've made all these sacrifices so we can bring reforms in your cities, in your lands. Every land is a land of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And here I'll take a pause. Imam sallallahu alaihi wasallam uses the word fi biladik. Oh Allah, in your lands. Just pay attention to this beautiful word. In your lands. Many times we forget this beautiful aspect of Islam. And we think, oh, I'm living in Canada. Canada is not the land of Allah Azza wa Jalla. It is the land of non-Muslims. I'm living in India. This is the land of non-Muslims. I'm living in the USA. It is a land of non-Muslims. It could be ruled by non-Muslims. But land, ultimately, whatever land you are putting your footsteps on, every single land belongs to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Therefore you should revere and respect the land. Wherever you put your foot on, wherever you step on. And this beautiful perception and this beautiful ideology connects us with every country, with every part of the world, wherever we go. The land, the sky, the resources, the blessings, all and all come from Allah Azza wa Jal. Therefore all should be revered, respected. And we should try our best to play our role to improving the lands wherever we go. That is one of the prime responsibilities of a Muslim. We should not try to destroy the land of Allah Azza wa Jal. وَإِذَا تَوَلَّى سَعَى فِي الْأَرْضِ. There are a group of people Allah Azza wa Jal has strongly criticized them. Why? Because their purpose is to destroy the land of Allah Azza wa Jal. And in contrast, there are people who exert all their efforts to improve the qualities of the lives of the land of Allah Azza wa Jal wherever they go. So Imam Hussain says, وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ. O Allah, my purpose for all these sacrifices is to establish reforms, to bring reforms in your lands. And this is something really magnificent. Reform. When we need to bring reform, what is the opposite of salah? The opposite of salah is fasad. When the land of Allah Azza wa Jal is corrupted, when the system is corrupted, then we need to establish the system of Allah Azza wa Jal. We need to correct those corruptions, and that is called islah. Let me mention a beautiful story. What are the consequences of corruption? Abdullah bin Marwan al-Himar. Marwan al-Himar was the last of Banu Umayyah's caliphs. We have two Marwan. One Marwan, that is the founder of a dynasty called Marwanites. Okay? Marwan, who rose to throne after Muawiyah bin Yazid. Muawiyah bin Abu Sufyan. Then after Muawiyah, we have Yazid. After Yazid, his son, Muawiyah bin Yazid, who just appeared for a brief sermon. After Yazid got perished, his son came to throne. And he was a young man. And he delivered a sermon. And he strongly criticized his father and great father. He said, I'm not going to accept this caliphate whose pillars are drenched in the bloods of the progeny of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He cursed his father and his grandfather. And then he disappeared. After 6 months, his dead body came out of the palace. What happened to him? We don't know. Most likely he was killed. And then comes the turn of Marwan. Marwan al-Himar. Marwan bin Hakam. Tarid Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Marwan and his father Hakam, they were exiled by Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. They were so crooked, so horrible, so disgusting that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam exiled them. However, third caliph, Osman, because Marwan was his son-in-law and also related to him from Banu Umayyah side, he brought them back to Medina. First caliph, he didn't dare. Second caliph, he didn't allow himself to do that. Even though there were many requests from the Banu Umayyah clan, but these two individuals, they couldn't do that. But third caliph, as he was directly connected to Banu Umayyah, he was from Banu Umayyah, so he brought Marwan and his father Hakam back to Medina. So Marwan bin Hakam. After Marwan bin Hakam, we have Abdul Malik bin Marwan. And after Abdul Malik, his 4 sons. And then this Shajara Khabitha, this evil tree continues until it reaches to Marwan al-Himar. He was called Marwan al-Himar because he was so foolish. He was so stubborn, like a donkey. That's why people called him Marwan al-Himar. And during his reign, Banu Abbas, they managed to just abolish the Banu Umayyah's reign and establish their reign. So, Marwan al-Hakam got killed, but his sons, 2 sons, one was called Ubaidullah and the other one was called Abdullah, they managed to escape, and they were young. And Abdullah, in his way to flee, when he was fleeing, he passed away, but Abdullah made to his destination. And they went and sought refuge in Nudba. Okay? That was a part of Sudan at that time. The current Sudan and a part of Egypt. So, in the land of Nudba, and that land was ruled by a Christian monarch, a Christian ruler. So when he heard of Abdullah bin Marwan's asylum in his country, he made a visit of that person. Okay? And when he visited, he asked, Abdullah, your mighty rule, your strong kingdom, what happened? Why you lost your kingdom so easily? A group of people stood and they managed to topple your government. What happened? You ruled for many, many years the whole Muslim world. And your caliphate was stretched from Arabian Peninsula to Africa, and from Africa to Europe. Then what happened all of a sudden? You lost. Then he started making some points, and the gist of that speech was corruption, because our rulers were corrupt and they started devouring on people, they started committing crimes, they started doing injustices to people. And when he heard those statements, he said, look, you sought refuge in my country and you are my guest, but you are my guest only for 3 days. After 3 days, you'll have to leave the country, because I'm afraid that the corruption you've made, and because of your corruptions, your land has been ruined and your kingdom has been toppled. The consequences of those corruptions could fall upon our country as well. So you can see how corruption, how fasad can destroy the whole country. And Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam has said very beautifully, Al-mulku yabqa ma'al kufr wa la yabqa ma'al dhulm. A kingdom can thrive, can survive with kufr, but no system on this planet can survive with dhulm, with injustice. So that was the second purpose of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam. And third purpose, وَيَأْمَنُ الْمَظْلُومُونَ مِنْ عِبَادِكَ. Oh Allah, we've made this a prize to allow those who are suppressed to find refuge, to find peace. And number 4, وَيُعْمَلُ بِفَرَائِضِكَ وَسُنَنِكَ وَأَحْكَامِكَ. Oh Allah, I made this a prize so your religion's teachings, obligations, sunan, recommended acts, all and all can be acted upon. People have the opportunity to follow them, live by them, and succeed in dunya and in akhirah. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين. اللهم صل على محمد. إن أحسن الحديث وأبلغ الموعظة كتاب الله عز وجل. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صل على محمد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم أجمعين. أما بعد. أوصي نفسي وإياكم بتقوى الله. Once again I advise myself and all of you towards taqwa, God consciousness and remembrance of Almighty Allah Azza wa Jal. In the first sermon we discussed that there are 4 main reasons mentioned by Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam for the uprising of Karbala. Let's revise. Number 1, لنري المعالم من دينك. So Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam could revive the flags, the signs and symbols of the religion of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And number 2, وَنُظْهِرَ الْإِصْلَاحِ فِي بِلَادِكَ. Wipe out the corruptions made by Banu Umayyah and restore the beautiful teachings of Islam. And number 3, وَيَأْمَنُ الْمَظْلُومُونَ مِنْ عِبَادِكَ. And those who are oppressed, they may find peace. And number 4, وَيُعْمَلُ بِفَرَائِضِكَ وَسُنَنِكَ وَأَحْكَامِكَ. Your religion and your religious teachings, wajibat, mustahabbat, muharramat, makruhat, all are acted upon accordingly. These were 4 main purposes for Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's uprising. Now the question is, how can I connect myself with the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain? We always yearn, we always desire, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fa'afuza ma'akum. O Abu Abdullah, I wish I was with you so I could reach the ultimate success. Fawzan azima, the great success you've scored for yourself and for your companions. Ya Abu Abdullah, I wish, I yearn, I was a part of that mission. Is the door shut for us now? We are living in 21st century. We are living in 15th century. The tragic events of Karbala unfolded in the 1st century, 61 AH. And now we are 1446. So, are we deprived of receiving that ultimate success, or is there a way? Indeed, there is a way. And Imam Ja'far as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam has taught us the way. Imam says, when you go to do the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussain, say 7 times, Labbayka ya da'i Allah, Labbayka ya da'i Allah. O the one who called towards Allah Azza wa Jal, we are here to say we are at your service. It means that the door is not shut. We can still be a part of that mission and we can gain the ultimate success. But how? And then in the second phrase, Abu Abdullah Ja'far bin Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is teaching us the method. إِن لَمْ يُجِبْكَ بَدَنِي عِنْدَ إِسْتِغَاثَتِكَ. O Abu Abdullah, if I was not physically present when you called upon هَلْ مِن نَاصِرٍ يَنْصُرُنَا, Ya Abu Abdullah, now after 1400 years, in 1446, أجابك قلبي, my heart is responding to you. My heart is saying لبيك يا حسين. My eyes are saying لبيك يا حسين. My ears are saying لبيك يا حسين. My tongue is saying لبيك يا حسين. And my mind is saying لبيك يا حسين. By utilizing these 5 methods, you can still be connected with Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. And you can still reap all the fruits, all the blessings, all the success, the ultimate success that the Ashabul Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam scored for themselves. By connecting your eyes, your ears, your tongue, your mind, your heart with Abu Abdullah al-Hussain. How can we connect these 5 most important organs of our existence, of our body, with Abu Abdullah al-Hussain? Number 1, by keeping them away from sins. As Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam, they were free from all the risks. Allah Azza wa Jal has kept risks away from them. So if my mind is dirty, if my heart is polluted, if my eyes are sinful, if my ears are sinful, if my tongue is sinful. Sinful doesn't mean we haven't committed sins. We are fallibles. If someone says that person has never committed a sin, that is the biggest sinner. If someone says he hasn't spoken anything untrue, that person is the biggest liar. So what does it mean that we should keep these organs away from sins? Means we should avoid. Taqullah mastata'atum. Have the taqwa of Allah Azza wa Jal to the best of your abilities. Try your best to keep these organs free from sins. Then inshallah ta'ala, this is the first step in making ourselves Hussaini, in connecting ourselves with the mission of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And once we have cleansed these 5 vital organs, then in the second step, we beautify these 5 organs with Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's illumination, with Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam's light, with the ornaments provided by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. So in the first place, we need to do takhliya, as they say in ilm al-akhlaq. We cleanse our system. And then in the second step, we do tahliya. We beautify our lives with the light of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. We live by the example set by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. We live by akhlaq established by Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. We try our best to implement the teachings for which Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam made all the sacrifice. These are 2 methods we can connect ourselves with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. And finally, again, just to emphasize, there is no failure if we are sincere. There is no failure that we cannot reach the success. We say, we are being asked by Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam that each time when we do the ziyarah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, we repeat this sentence, Ya laytani kuntu ma'akum fa afuza ma'akum. If there was no way to reach that level or connect ourselves with that success, then there was no point of making this statement or yearning with this desire. Ya laytani kunt ma'akum fa afuza ma'akum. There's always a way. Allah Azza wa Jalla is at most generous. It is mentioned, Ahlul Bayt alayhimu salatu wasalam are the manifestation of the generosity of Almighty Allah Azza wa Jalla. Let me mention this story and conclude. When the battle of Jamal was over, it is mentioned in Imambargah. It is very beautiful. When the battle of Jamal was over, and Allah Azza wa Jal made Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam victorious, despite 0 chance of success. Because Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam's companions were around 5,000. And on the other hand, Aisha, Talha and Zubair, their soldiers, they were over 30,000. And they had made a very sophisticated plan to kill Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam. And there was no chance for Imam Ali alayhi salam to come out of that battle alive. But unfortunately they didn't know that Ali ibn Abi Talib was the lion of Allah Azza wa Jal. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has made this sentence about Ali. Oh Ali, if the whole Arab, they give hand in hand and they come to combat you, they come to fight against you, you are able to defeat the whole Arab all by yourself. They forgot this beautiful sentence of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So after that remarkable, tremendous, spectacular victory of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, a lover, a companion, a true follower of, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam, a true lover, comes to Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam and says, Ya Abul Hassan, I wish my brother was with me, who would witness this remarkable victory. I just wish. Then Imam Ali salatu wasalam, he didn't say, no, your brother didn't come, so there is no way for him. No. Imam Ali asked him a simple question. Ahawa akhika ma'ana? Are the thoughts and minds of your brother with us? Is his mind, his heart, his opinion, his ideology with us? He said, yes, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. He loves you like I love you. He cares for you like I care for you. He lives to establish your ideology like I live to establish your ideology. Then Imam Ali salatu wasalam turned to him and said, go and rest. Your brother was with us. Don't yearn. Don't just wish. He was with us. Not only him, the generations who are in the wombs of their mother, in the bloods of their fathers, the generations who will come till the day of judgment. Anyone whose heart beats for us, whose mind works for us, whose thoughts, whose perspectives, whose ideologies are with us, they all were present in this very battlefield. And this success is not for me. This success is for the generations to come till the day of judgment. By mentioning this beautiful sentence, Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam has given us a hope that even though we were not in the utmost battle of haqq and batil, which is called Karbala, but we can still reap the fruits, reap the rewards of that battlefield, and we can achieve the ultimate success by connecting ourselves with Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. وآخر دعوانا عن الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى أهل بيته الأطيبين الأنجبين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. صل على محمد. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا وشفيعنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى يعسب الدين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى بضعة خاتم النبيين فاطمة الزهراء البتول. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى الحسن والحسين سيد شباب أهل الجنة. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين زين العابدين ومحمد بن علي باقر علم النبيين وجعفر بن محمد الصادق الأمين وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم وعلي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكري. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان